to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Hope each and every one of you guys are enjoying your Victory Monday. You guys certainly deserve it. Probably going to have another video up later today talking about Dave Gettleman and my opinion on where he currently stands with the New York Giants organization based on some of the things that have happened over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks. In addition to that, I should be live tonight talking about the New York Giants, talking about the game yesterday as I said that I would, and talking about the New York Giants' possibility to be making the playoffs in the 2020 season, as crazy as that may sound. But I want to jump into the main story of the day, and that, of course, being Deandre Baker, the former New York Giant. News has come out of the former Georgia project, the first-round pick by the New York Giants last year, in which Dave Gettleman traded up to give us who we thought was going to be our number one corner for years to come. After all, he was a tremendous collegiate prospect. I don't think he gave up a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, over his last 2 years while at Georgia, and we had very high hopes for him. Now, he didn't really fit Betcher's scheme, and I think that was part of the reason why he struggled when he got here. He was playing exclusively man coverage while at college. With the Giants, under Betcher, they played a lot of zone, and it's why I had hope for him going into this year, even with some of the red flags last year. Saying he didn't know the playbook, falling asleep in meetings, the teammates getting very disgruntled with how he carried himself, and he was penalized by Pat Shermer, the New York Giants coaching staff, for it. But I still thought, with a disciplinarian coming in with Joe Judge and a new scheme in which I thought he was going to fit very well, a scheme, focused around man cover press, which is what he was accustomed to well at Georgia, I thought he could have played very well for the New York Giants. And right now, if you ask me, people ask me all the time in my streams, what is the New York Giants' biggest need? What would you take if you were picking in this year's draft? And I almost always say a cornerback, Patrick Surtain, depending on where we're picking. I think the New York Giants right now, if you look at this team, their biggest weakness for this defense is a cornerback. And yeah, bringing back Deandre Baker would make a lot of sense just from a personnel standpoint. And of course, that's what everybody's been talking about. But before we get into it, let's get into the case. This has been an insane case. This has been the type of case that if it was, if you saw it at a movie theater, you wouldn't believe it. It was so far-fetched. It's gone back and forth 7 different times. And now it's come out that Deandre Baker is left off the hook. He is completely exonerated of all charges, and he will not be going to prison. And I don't know what the terminology is. I don't know if he's, innocent or not guilty, whatever it is. All charges have been dropped, and in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty, and he was not proven guilty. So by that definition, Deandre Baker is innocent, and now he will get an opportunity to come back into the NFL and play, and it is an insane story. Supposedly what happened now is the lawyer of the prosecution, who was trying to try Deandre Baker, is now getting charged essentially with bribery. I think it was in excess of about $266,000 for 3 witnesses. So now he could potentially be going to jail, the guy that was trying to put Deandre Baker in jail. But I'm glad that Deandre Baker's got let off at the end of the day. He's a young guy. He probably put himself in the wrong situation at the wrong time. And who knows if he's completely innocent. We'll never know, but he's off. And I'm happy that he's got a second chance at life, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what this is. You're talking about a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid who is going to be facing a minimum of 10 years in prison. Now he's off, and now he gets an opportunity to come back and play the game he loves. So whether it's with the Giants or whether it's with somebody else, I hope he gets his head on straight, and I hope that, he prospers. I was a big fan of him coming out of college. You go back, you look at my draft content back in 2019, I thought he was going to be a good cornerback in the NFL, and hopefully he's able to do that. Now, will he go to the New York Giants? Well, that's the question I ask myself, and I'm sure that's the question that a lot of you guys are asking right now. Now, if you look at what Art Stapleton had to say on Twitter, Art Stapleton came out and said, and, he basically hinted, sources from within the New York Giants organization, it's a long shot. He doesn't expect it to happen. He's a free agent, and he's going to get an opportunity to sign somewhere else. And a lot of people are criticizing the New York Giants for moving on from Deandre Baker before the conclusion of this case. But here's what I'll say. We all knew that he had some baggage in the prior season. We all knew that the Giants were trying to clean up this culture. And we also knew that the New York Giants did not want any distractions while at training camp. Well, if Deandre Baker was on this roster, it would have been a constant distraction. Now that he's been let off, do the Giants look a little bad in this situation? Sure, but in my opinion, I think most teams would have done what the New York Giants did simply because they didn't want the distraction. Now, to my understanding, according to what a lot of people told me, he is still going to get his guaranteed money. I'm not sure how it works with the rookie pay scale, But I would think and hope that DeAndre Baker should get all his money back and he should be on the same timeline to potentially reach a second contract as he was, because he's completely innocent. It's not his fault that he was tried for something that he was not, convicted of. So hopefully he gets his money back. Hopefully he's back on pace. But if you ask me, do I think the New York Giants are going to bring in DeAndre Baker? What I'll tell you is, from a personnel standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. It's a big need for us right now. Isaac Yiadom is absolutely atrocious. But do I think he's the type of player that Joe Judge would want here? Listen, at the end of the day, Joe Judge was just as responsible for this decision as Dave Gettleman was. They've been working collaboratively throughout the entire offseason. As a matter of fact, I would say it was more of a Joe Judge decision than a Dave Gettleman decision, because it makes Dave Gettleman look very bad. Dave Gettleman traded up for him. So I think this was almost exclusively a Joe Judge decision. I think Judge decided to move on. And if you remember back to the stories that came out at the beginning of the year, he was not even showing up to the voluntary. It was voluntary, but almost every other player was there. Zoom sessions. DeAndre Baker was not there, and based off his prior history with the New York Giants, if I was a new head coach coming in Joe Judge, I would know that, and I would think he'd be trying to get off on the right foot. So I don't think Joe Judge was given the best impression initially of DeAndre Baker, and being that Joe Judge is a no-nonsense guy, maybe the Giants kick the tires and they look to possibly bring him back. I don't see it happening. I don't think that Joe Judge is going to feel like he fits this team. I think the Giants will try to address it next year and bring in a younger corner. I could be wrong on that, but that's just my honest opinion. And then the other thing you got to ask yourself is, would DeAndre Baker want to come back to the team that cut him before, there was a final verdict on whether or not he was guilty or innocent? That's the other thing you definitely got to ask yourself. And my guess would be it's very possible no. Even though I do think he fits this scheme very well, he didn't do well while he was here with the New York Giants, and he may look at it like the New York Giants quit on him. And there's certainly a lot of teams that would be open to bringing in a guy who was the number one drafted cornerback in the 2019 draft, who's still very young and is still on a rookie contract. And you wouldn't have to pay much, I would assume, based off the fact that he's not making anything right now. So I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of teams that are lining up for his services. But do I expect the New York Giants to be one of them? I don't think so. I think the Giants are going to continue to have a problem at that position for the rest of the year. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do in terms of maybe putting Logan Ryan out there when McKinney comes back. But I don't see DeAndre Baker coming back with the New York Giants. Regardless, I am very happy that he's given a second opportunity at life, and I think he'll hopefully make the most out of it. That at least me thinking optimistically. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll put himself in the same situation again and he'll get in trouble again, but he's got another chance, and I hope and pray that he makes the most out of it. As far as the Giants go, I think we're going to move on, and I think we're going to get a very good cornerback in next year's draft or free agency class to pair up with James Bradbury. But I don't see DeAndre Baker being that guy. Maybe you guys disagree. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.